In this video, I will speak to you about the emergency equipment locations and how to pass that exam if you are currently on a training, on initial training to become a cabin crew. This video is for everyone that has a similar exam to the one that I have mentioned during your cabin crew training, but also to the ones who want to learn a bit about it. Now, among the cabin crew trainings worldwide, there are talks that this kind of exam, the one that we need to write the location diagram or the location of the safety equipment, is one of the hardest. And you know what? I stand by that because I was one of the trainees that actually failed this exam, and I was given a second chance to pass it again. So on the question, what happens when you fail an exam? You get a chance to pass it again. So I had to go through some meetings before I go on the exam once again, where the safety department of the airline I was working for was trying to find out the reasons why I have failed. As I was good in everything else, I was passing all the exams without a problem, but there was just this thing which I have mentioned at the beginning, worldwide is famous, that's hard. Why I failed it. And the advice that I'm gonna share with you in this video on how to pass that exam is actually how I passed the exam from the second time, and that has been very successful for literally everyone that have implemented the technique. I'm gonna share it with you over here. For those of you that are first time on my YouTube channel, very warm welcome on board. My name is Julia George, and I used to be a cabin crew and flew for Qatar Airways for 10 years, where I have resigned from my last work position as a cabin service director. I am living in Germany currently, and I'm studying aviation management master program at Wildau Institute of Applied Science in Berlin. And also I work as a snore lab assistant at Helios Kliniken in Schwerin. Before I go on further, for all the content that is coming on my YouTube channel, and that is over here, you might want to also click the subscribe button and with the notification button. So let's start. First, in the video, we're gonna define what is emergency equipment diagram, or among the crew members, it is famously known as the location diagram. Further on, we're gonna talk on why this location diagram is important for the trainees, for the cabin crew. And then lastly, I will share with you how to pass this exam successfully. Now, all you need to know about the location diagram is actually that it's a poster, and it features a top view illustration of the cockpit and the cabin. And on this poster, you will see that the locations of the emergencies equipment are highlighted, and they're usually represented in 3 letters or 2-letter codes. Every equipment has its own code. It looks exactly like this. But from an airline to an airline, there can be a slight change, of course. This is designed for both for the flight deck and the cabin crew, and it is a very valuable poster for training aid for everyone who needs to learn about the location of all the emergency equipment on board the aircraft. And when I say for everyone, I over here refer to the cabin crew, because particularly this is very, very useful and very important to them. Now, these posters are something that many airlines have it in a form of an important exam, as I have mentioned earlier. And what the cabin crew trainees have observed, including myself, is that this is very challenging to pass. As you know, you will get a paper and you'll have to fulfill the equipment, and you have to actually remember where is everything. Now, the equipment that you will have to remember, when I talk about equipment, I refer over here to things like fire extinguisher on board the aircraft, protective breathing equipment, then we have the portable oxygen, we have emergency flashlight, we have life jackets, demo kits, the famous demo kits where the cabin crew are doing the manual demonstrations if needed, a lot of different types of first aid kits, automatic external defibrillator, we have a loud healer, protective gloves, crash axe, there is ELT, the emergency locator transmitter. We have additional infant seat belts, spare seat belts, infant life jackets. There is also something called a survival kit. There are the famous restraining kit or restraining devices, etc., etc. And all of these, they have their own 3 or 2-letter codes. Now, please note that the equipment that I have mentioned over here is very generic, and that specific airlines will have different equipment or a different name for this equipment, as well as we'll be calling them differently. Now, airlines and their training departments have their emergency equipment location diagrams that I talk about over here, customized to match the specific configuration of the aircrafts that they have in their fleet. And for example, let's say Turkish Airlines has a location diagram for Boeing 737, and Qatar Airways will not have the location diagram for Boeing 737, as Qatar Airways doesn't have the commercial part of the airline, does not own Boeing 737, therefore a location diagram for this aircraft, it's not needed. Why it is important to learn about these location diagrams? For the simple reason, being able to easily access the equipment that I have mentioned on board the aircraft is vital when unusual circumstances will happen on board, and we cannot know when an unusual circumstance will happen or an unusual event will happen. They can be both. These events can be related to safety or first aid. And I've mentioned an equipment which is used in safety and first aid scenarios. And if you are late in getting this equipment, it can be simply a life-threatening situation, and no one wants to go through that. So that's why it is important for you, for the trainees, to know the location of the equipment. But don't worry, it's not impossible to learn that, and I'm gonna tell you in this video how you can successfully pass this exam from the first time. If you're a candidate for the job role called cabin crew, which I forgot to mention at the beginning, please do not stress, because this is not something that you're supposed to learn to get the job. Now, the emergency equipment location diagram looks exactly like this, as I have mentioned earlier, and I personally could not learn successfully this when I tried to remember everything by heart, and that is why I failed. So I come up after that scenario with my own action plan, which I designed at home, my own mock-up, and I started putting the equipment around me to remember. So I'm going to show you further how that looked like, and if you implement this learning technique, I am very sure that you will be able to pass this exam on the spot. So this is an asymmetric view from my hole, and I've created my imaginary aircraft, my mock-up, and it looks like this. Straight, I have my flight deck, and I have put over here protective gloves AG. This is a shortcut for protective gloves, but it can be for every airline differently named. Straight is always your flight deck, and on the side you will have the right hand side. As you're standing and looking towards the flight deck when you're in the aircraft, you will be having on the the right hand side doors and equipment, and the left hand side doors and equipment. So I've put the L1 door. It's usually the first door that it's open from the aircraft, right behind the flight deck, and I've put, let's say over here you might have survival kit, you might have emergency medical kit, and let's say a loud healer would be here, which always goes with your supervisor. However, this is not true. This is my imaginary. You can check of your location diagram for the airline that you're working for, whether you will be having the correct equipment where the first door or the first jump seat is. For me, it's L1 door and it's L1 jump seat. This is how I have imagined it. What I also forgot to share over here, excuse me for my hand going around, is that perhaps you would have to put how much of this equipment you have over here. So if I turn to the right hand side and to the R1 door, let's say I have under the jump seat a life jacket, I have a portable oxygen and a lifeline, which I don't think the lifeline is there, but let's assume that my portable oxygen is there, and let's assume I have two portable oxygen, so I'll just write multiple 2, so I know when I'm going to be writing my location diagram in the exam, I will know that I have two portable oxygens there. Then we go to the R2 door. Again, I have imagined that this equipment is at the R2 door, R3 and R4. This is basically how I'm trying to remember where is my emergency equipment in the aircraft that I'm getting trained for, in order for me, when I will get that paper, that location diagram which looks exactly like this. I will get it in my exam empty. I will have to fill it up. Where is everything? This is how it's gonna be easier for me to remember. I'll close my eyes and I'll try to remember what did I had on the right hand side, what did I had on the left hand side first one, left hand side second one, left hand side third one, and left hand side fourth one. You might also have left hand side fifth one, depends on the aircraft type that you're gonna be trained for. And you might also, the same thing as I have here, a flight deck backside, have your imaginary board or whatsoever, and you can just, you know, put the aft of the aircraft, because also the equipment is there. Anything that is drawn on this location diagram, try to make a place in your room in which you will be able to remember visually, and then I can promise you that you will be able to pass this exam from the first time. Thank you very much for viewing this video. Last but not the least, you might want to click the subscribe button for all the videos that are coming. My Instagram account, excrewnextcrew, my YouTube channel over here, and my website, excrewnextcrew.com, are a great platform for future and for current cabin crew to get familiarized with all the skills that you need, how to straighten and develop the skills, how to progress in your career. Therefore, I'm going to be seeing you very, very soon. Bye-bye and have a nice day.